What's going on, everybody? This is Darius Abram.
This is Brandon Jones.
Yep, and we're starting up our podcast that we've been talking about for a while now. Roots to Rise. It's something me and Brand both uh, have been talking about for a little while. So it's about time that we actually put something to action. I know y'all previous people that have been following me. I've had a previous podcast. So now I want to do a little collaboration with a close friend, a brother of mine, lifetime friend. So we created this podcast to basically help users, people, throughout their life journeys and stuff like that. Some of the experiences that we both share. I'm gonna let Brand do a little talking on that side of things too.
Yes. Uh, really for me, you know, it is really growing as a black young man in America. Me and Darius like known each other for almost 10 plus years now. So there's really finding our roots in America when we not talk about our history and about ourselves, and really just finding a way to get back connected to our roots. And that's just a lot of self-searching and a lot of reflecting, a lot of healing from past trauma and trauma in our young lives that we dealt with. And I feel like everybody deal with trauma, and it's really how you take it and apply it. And I feel like me and Darius, even though the last couple of years we haven't been in communication, but it's always an open line, always with him. So when we was talking about this podcast, man, I was like, man, let's do it. Him doing a lot of stuff in his community down Norfolk, and me here in the DC area doing the work here, just really showed me how important it is to tell our story, because it's gonna touch somebody, and it's so humbling with me there. I'm not gonna lie. When I be talking, people be listening, and they really be like, Brandon, when you speak, like it's motivation. Like it's always something that's gonna motivate you. It's always some wisdom and game. And I feel like it's just me just sitting down with myself and understanding, like life is a lesson, and it's
Absolutely.
so important to learn. And with you being a teacher too, my boy, like you already know. And I just really been learning. There's like these last, I'll say all in my 20s. I'm 26, by the time 27. Gotta be willing. It is really, I spent my 20s so far just learning from my mistakes, life, me blowing the bad, me with women, me with decking my car. It's really learning from life. And I really learned a lot in these 20 years. I mean, 20 plus years I've been alive, but really these 6, 7 years I've learned a lot. That really, I feel like I lived several lives in
Yeah.
one life so
Yep.
far. And and so it's just really understanding that, and just really just keep on building. And that's why I feel like this podcast is so important, to really keep on building, because we in touch with so many people in our community, and I feel like they tell us like we need to be speaking more, and we know that our voice need to be heard. I think everybody, I won't say everybody voice needs to be heard, but I feel like the people that's really out here doing the work, that understand, that's always working, because we not teachers, master teachers, or we don't have all the answers. We still learning. So I feel like this podcast is gonna help people to get where, at least where we at, or help them, or they can take what they want from this podcast and apply it to their life, to reach the next level and connect them roots back to the ancestors, back to ourselves, whoever you are, whatever race you are, connect you back to the roots. Because this world, this capitalism, it don't want you to be connected to your heritage. It want you to be disconnected. And that's why I feel like this podcast is so powerful, and the sky's the limit. I'm so excited for this podcast, as you can tell. Like it's really up there. We got my brother Chuck, couldn't make it to this episode. That's gonna be coming in into a couple episodes when he can. And he used to work with the at-risk juveniles in Montgomery County, Maryland. And he had me coming out there a couple times, teaching the kids how to make clothes. So I come in there with the street code. Got the street code shirt right here behind me. Shout out to the ADS Collective, Dr. Matulu Shakur and Dr. Kakai. But we coming there with the street code. tell them about the street code Reddit, and then we was making clothes. And this sparked that interest in kids about starting their own clothing brand. So it's so many different levels we can do it. I'm just so excited to do this podcast with my brothers, you, Darius, and Shop for real.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And I can definitely say us like you said once before, having that knowledge, having that experience with different situations in life and being able to go back and share it because not everybody's always open to sharing, especially, some of those traumatizing times, some of that, hard grief times that we both have experienced over our lifetime. It can be difficult for other people to share those stories, so really being able to come up here on this podcast and collab together, brother, is quite amazing for the both of us, and to be able to share those stories and experiences to help other people navigate through their lifetime. Because quite frankly, I know there's a lot of brothers out there that may not know how to express themselves, but just like me and you starting up this podcast may be a way for them to either start up a podcast or go get the help that they need or go feel motivated to do whatever is needed of them in life and find their purpose, bro. Because for the longest time, I can share, um, I struggled with finding my purpose. And so, the best way that I found it was once through my faith, and then also listening to other podcasts, other motivational speakers. And I think that's I think we both were on the same page when it came to the idea of roots to rise, because it all goes back to you growing that mindset. I think you had said something like the growth mindset, and you got to start off by being an avid learner. Me and you both starting at a young age, bro, in the classroom, bro. I mean, we both know where we started at, and I'm not afraid to tell anybody. Me and Brand both started off in an IEP classroom that was set out for us only to really go to Nova. Because I remember those experiences of people trying to set a limitation on where we would end up academically. But I can sit here and say that I went to a 4-year college, had a 3.0 all throughout. So that's just a milestone itself, and I feel like a lot of black men, a lot of kids out there now are set to certain limitations, but they don't even know what's out there and what's to offer. So that whole idea of just planting your root and staying focused on your goal, even though you might go through all this different traumatic stuff in your life, you got to stay focused on what the plan is for you. And both me and you have been grinding in our communities, everything that you're doing for the community, the kids, parents, families. I know it's all appreciated by those families. And same thing with me in educating. That calling, it was all God. I mean, I knew out of high school that I was gonna help somebody in some way. Of course, it was a doctor at first, but I couldn't do that blood. But
Yeah, yeah.
once I really took education serious, and my grandfather taught me this at a young age, that wisdom and knowledge are the most powerful things that somebody can offer you, even more than money. Because those people that are making those billionaires, those millionaires, they making money because they got that knowledge that they required over the years, and people don't understand that. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna make this check, unless you're getting that generational wealth that your family built, but they built that from the knowledge that was passed down years by years. So with this podcast, we starting that root. That's where me and Brand both got the idea and that vision of that roots to rise, because we got to implant those roots in the youth and whoever decides to listen to this podcast, because we both started off by taking in and consuming all that different knowledge, and we're still both avid learners to this day. And so the rise part, and I can say this on my part, is rising through all that adversity that we've been through, losing close friends, losing family members, going through hard times, like Brand said, money situations, different women, different situations that have come and brought us to the place that we are in today. It's almost just like I told my girlfriend this the other day. I said, certain relationships that I went through, I needed to go through that because it's made me a better person for you today and moving forward. So a lot of people don't understand, bro. Some of the situations that you're going through are right now. You like, man, why is this happening to me? Why,
Yeah.
why do I have to be the one to go through this? But God, and whoever your faith is, it's putting you through those different situations. One, because of your life choices, and two, see how you're gonna overcome that trial and tribulation that you're facing. And so, it all goes back to, just you fighting that adversity and rising up to the occasion. And I think that's what me and Bran are here to, get this podcast out there and definitely overcome that, the ongoing adversity that's in the community, but also to rise up and get our younger brothers, sisters, everybody to rise up.
Exactly. I just want to veg you back. Like me and Darius, we probably met during the ninth grade at Hayfield Secondary, and like ever since we figured out we were from North Carolina, from the same town and stuff. And we had ties down to back in the bull. I feel like we was like this ever since then.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and like you said, we was at IEP, special ed, and I don't let that like limit to me, like put a glass ceiling on me, because I feel like that's what they do, especially for black boys, put a limitation on you. Say you're in special ed, you got an IEP, but man, you just gotta really keep on pushing through it. You know what I mean? And you gotta understand your learning style. I feel like during the schools, and you can kind of relate more because you work there, but I feel like the different ways to learn is, I feel like it's just one way to learn in school. Remember this? This is what my mentor be telling me. Imagine you got a trash can. So wherever the curriculum is, they dumping it into your brain right here, this can right here, and they want you to dump it out just the same way how they dump it into your head. So if you're thinking outside the box, it'd be like when they do the SOLs, or whatever, the standardized testing. If you're not doing it like their way, you gonna fail. Oh nah, we gotta put them in this class. Well, like, I didn't really let that hinder me in my growth.
exactly.
And that's why I feel like the bond as we went through high school together, those classes, being in classes, talking about our different relationships, our playing football together, running track together, all that, spending the night, sleepovers, playing 2K, you know, all those experiences was a learning experience. And the veggie back on the relationship part, bro, I feel like what most people get it confused is I would not be the man who I am today. Cause me and Chuck was talking about it. That's crazy you brought it up. I would not be the man I am today if I didn't deal with all my exes. All those lessons I learned made me to the man I am today. So when we be 26, when people look at how I'm moving as I'm 26 now, they think I've been here before. That's because like you said, I learn from the elders. I sit at the feet of the elders. I listen
Absolutely.
to them. I don't say nothing. Cause most people nowadays with the elders, they want to, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, da da da. Like I said earlier, take what you get from them and apply it. If it applied to you as something positive, take it and run with it. Cause they life experience, now that I'm dealing with kids now, I'm like, damn, I was like that. I don't want to be hard headed. Think I know it all when I don't know it all. When I didn't experience life. So that's why I feel like it's so important. Like learn lessons throughout all your relationships. Don't be toxic. And don't, when I say toxic, don't be like, man, I don't fuck with them. I don't mess with them because, man, they did me dirty. Learn from that. Take some reasons why they did you dirty. Observe it. Observe their character. Observe how they was moving and apply it. Take that with you. And that's one of the things I've been doing. That's why I'm able to read people. That's why I like asking questions. I'm gonna get to the root of the issue. I want to figure out what's going on. Like I want to see why you moving like that. And I feel like that's why it's so important with this whole this podcast, the roots. So with this society that we live in right now, we don't want to get to the root of the issue. We just want to put a band-aid on top of it. On the street bark, put a band-aid on that. But we gotta go to the root of the issue, figure out why people moving like this, why I'm acting like this. So we can look at that root, and then we can be like, all right, how can I rise from this adversity? How can I rise and be a better person? Because it's crazy, like people don't understand, like they really don't, they under it. You gotta overstand it. You gotta understand it. That life is a test. Like if you're a servant, or if you say you believe in a higher being, as soon as you say that, you're gonna get tested. As soon as you say that, you're gonna get tested. It's nothing you can do about it.
You don't know how the test gonna look. You don't know how hard the test gonna be. As soon as you say, I submit to a higher being, you gonna get tested. I feel like since I've been doing that, bro, it's been tests. Like it might be the same test in different scenarios, but like you're gonna get tested all the time. And I feel like taking that and rising and understanding your potential, understanding your higher self, what you want for yourself in the future, especially us being men, we gotta lead. It's no pity on us. It's no pity on black men. So nobody gonna come here to save you but yourself.
Exactly.
So if you move a janky out here, if you moving a certain way, it's not gonna work out. You might figure out why shit always going left. I can never go right. You gotta understand how you moving every day and your frequency, what you putting into your mind, your body, and your spirit. And just understanding that, like it gave me a better understanding everything. Like I feel like since Nipsey Hussle got assassinated, that's when it felt like the timeline for me switched. Like it was just like he left the blueprint here. He did this. This what he did for his community, and just really seeing that, like that legacy that he left. That it really like I'm like, oh, it really changed my whole life, man. Like it really changed my whole life to the point where I understand that I constantly keep on growing, and if I want better for my kids in the future, if I want better for my family, it starts with me.
Yes.
It starts with me.
And Brand, I wanna even add into that, bro. And sorry to cut you off, but
Okay,
you
brother.
said it briefly, bro. It starts with us breaking some of those generational curses, man. And I think a lot of people have a hard time of how to and how do I do that. And you got to take the steps necessary to really break those generational curses. You know what they are. Most people have already identified them or don't even know what they are, but it's happening. It's stuff in your everyday life that you may be doing that you got to change. You got to let some of those bad habits go and really sit down with yourself and say, am I really practicing what I'm preaching? Or am I just preaching but not doing the practicing? And I think that's kind of like the hardest part is really taking the necessary steps to really, practice what you preach. And
I
so,
feel like, yeah, my fault, cause your wisdom. I feel like practicing what you preach, but giving yourself grace. So if you fall off the horse, right? Don't be like, man, I wanted to do this, but you know what? It didn't work out. I fell a couple times, so you know what? It wasn't for me. Nah,
it's
get
the
up,
yep,
dust yourself off, and keep going. Cause you gotta understand the higher being is the most merciful and the most gracious. So that
absolutely.
means he's patient. So you think you patient? No. God is patient. Allah, Jah, Jehovah, whatever you believe in, he's the most patient, the most merciful. So if you want mercy, you want patience, you want grace, you gotta show it every day. And I tell my girlfriend that all the time, like you gotta show grace and be merciful because God, Allah, the creator, is the most merciful and the most gracious. And this really having that mindset is gonna help you keep on pushing forward because it's different tests. As soon as you go through that next level, it's another test. So you just gotta keep on leveling up to get to that next level. Because if not, I feel like if you're not learning, if you're not growing, you're dying. And you don't want to get stuck on a certain level because how this world moving, if you're not growing and learning outside of your job, outside of school, you're gonna be behind. It's not you gonna be behind. The next generation, the generation after that, and especially us black folks, we already 400, 500 years behind. We don't have no time to waste. We don't have no time to pop bottles. We don't have time to do all that. If you do that, that's cool, moderation, but your focus should be on building for the next generation. Because
Yep.
not we're not doing our job. Different races are doing that already. But what comes to us, I don't know, Derek.
Exactly. And to even add on to that, bro, and I know this was something I had to realize, experiencing some different life trials and tribulations, is that most people want to be accepted into society by their own culture, and your
Mm-hmm.
own brothers, your homeboy, everybody's doing a new wave. Oh, we all smoking weed, we all doing this. But I think what sets people aside is doing that different route. Oh yeah, bro, we about to do this. Nah, I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna try something different. And I think with me and you both, Brand, we both decided to set ourselves different than everybody else because we
Yeah.
already, they already kind of trained us in middle school and high school with the whole IEP thing that we're already different. We already got that learning.
Yeah.
Instead of keeping us at a disability and us with our mindsets, bro, we knew that we wanted more for ourselves. So we already set the bar higher than everybody else. We were already working twice as hard. And I think
Yeah.
that even applies to everyone in life. You got to do something different than everybody else. You can't accept the same norm that everybody tends to do, the same route that everybody's doing. You might got to go the harder way to get to where you're going. So you can't be always accepting to what everybody else is doing, or as I like to tell myself, I don't seek to be accepted by people or man. I seek to be accepted by God. So if I can walk through with God with me, then I know that I'm on the right route. But not saying no shots at man, nothing like that. I got many mentors and guidance counselors, but at the same time, my first priority is to walk with God and walk by faith. And so if I can't do that first, then maybe that certain situation or that certain job or that certain place that I want to be is not really for me, or that certain person. Because if I can't bring God with me, then it's probably something I somewhere and something I don't need to be in. And I think that was the biggest message that I needed to learn. And I think that's why we really here today, Brand, because we took that step to go on ahead and change the norm. We wanted to start this podcast so we can educate the youth and all those people out there that might want to hear this and listen to the message and understand it's okay to be different. It's okay not to be accepted. It's okay to make those mistakes and you can get back up. It's okay to move the way that God wants you to move and follow by faith instead of sight, instead of your heart, instead of what your homeboy JJ telling you, instead of what your homegirl trying to tell you to do. It's okay to live by God and live by the word and live by knowledge. And I'm an advocate. Excuse me. I'm an avid advocator of just being a constant learner and just learning from those mistakes, because like Brand said, you're going to have some times where you fall, but it's how you get back up and how you learn, because every mistake, every downfall is always a learning experience. And so like I said, I think that just brings us back to the whole podcast and us rising up and getting to that rise part, because everybody was a root originally, but at some point there was a transition in me and Brandon's life where we had to overcome those obstacles and rise up to the occasion.
Definitely, man. And I feel like with me, that obstacle that I went through, that we both went through, is losing multiple friends in a couple years, man. And I feel like me, it was a wake up call because, I thought, I'm speaking about Breezy, Brandon. We went to high school where I went to play college ball with. That was somebody I looked at that was invincible, a life of the party. And I saw him in that casket. And when I touched him, I felt how cold he was. That's when I really knew, like, nah, man, like, this death stuff is, you don't know when you're going to die. There's no time clock over your head. Like, you can look up every morning and be like, all right, I got 10 more years or I got one more day. So, like, really, that really changed my whole mindset where I was breathing. I might be picking up the bottle. I probably wouldn't have been smoking more. But, like, I'm like, I can't be doing this because I told my boy Breathe my vision with why it's shown behind me. I told him that, and that's why it really gave me the battery, even more batteries in my back
to do what I need to do to save people's lives. Because with me doing the acupuncture in the community, the acupressure in the community, me getting more insight about mental health, it helped me to help tell my story, help me with my healing, help me with my anxiety, help me with my depression, help me with my speech. Because I remember when I did my first podcast there, like bro, like I feel like right now my speech got even more better because I'm working on myself. I'm working on my trauma. I'm working with me people calling me stupid and dumb because I was in an IEP class or I couldn't read out loud. I've been working on that, so I'm able to speak and articulate my words better. It's always gonna be a work in progress because I know it's somebody out there that need to hear this story. It's somebody that's out here that's dealing with drug problems, depression, anxiety. But you gotta realize, you gotta set your attention. You gotta be like, set that words of affirmation or set your intentions out there so you can receive the help. I feel like the first step is receiving the help. And I feel like the creator been putting me in different rooms and different places to get me out of my comfort zone and receive that help. And you never know what that help can look like in your life. So that's why you gotta be open-minded and receiving that help. And just really understanding, like, you might not get it in the house. But you gotta have that mindset even when your environment don't give you that peace or that pour into. So you gotta have that mindset and you gotta, like Darius said, do extra work to get that. And then the creator gonna make sure you get that help or that assistance or that tools or resources that you need. Because he's a provider. He gonna make sure you have everything you need. You just gotta set that intention out there to him or whoever you believe in, and you receive that. And that's for like with me. I did the drugs, Percocets, lean, and I'm sorry, mom. I did all that. I did the drinking and driving, decked my car. Went to the hospital, ICU with alcohol poisoning. Then they had to pump my stomach. I did all that. So I didn't get nothing out there. It didn't help me be a better man who I am. Well, I am. It helped me get to this point because now I know not to do it. But like, it wasn't. It was a liability. You know what I mean? It wasn't really it wasn't even worth that experience of heartbreak. And Pastor Battle was speaking on it today. Really, your speed, how you moving, can irritate everybody around you, or it can affect everybody around you. Not even you knowing that. And that's something I had to really sit on because, like I said, there's a point in time I was just ripping and running and I was dropping the ball on certain stuff. And with me understanding who I am as a leader, I can't be doing that because I want to get to a point where I have 1,000+ people on my payroll that I'm cutting the check for. Now I'm making sure they got a livelihood, but at the same time, I'm gonna show them how to be their own boss. So that's my mindset that I have, and I really had to put that on my conscience and understand, think big, and that just came from me healing from my trauma, understanding, looking at my mother, understanding that me losing my friends, understanding I'm losing my friends to prison, understanding I'm losing my friends to drugs, all that stuff, man, and really walking by yourself. Like, I feel like everybody's scared of being their own, being by themselves. And like, I don't know, Darius, can you relate to that? Like, really just walking on your own path and being yourself?
Absolutely, brother. And I think like you said, bro. I mean, we both have a lot of shared experiences with the trauma. I mean, we both shared, that pain and that grief of Brandon, our brother. And then, with me, I had another brother with the same exact name pass away a month later. And so, a lot of that trauma, a lot of that grief, I had to learn how to navigate. And for the longest time, man, I didn't know how to move on. I didn't know how to properly breathe until it took me, uh, someone pushing me towards going to get that therapy that I needed. And it made me who I am today. Without that therapy, without that action step of taking the necessary steps to go get the help, that I needed at that time. And I think that's the biggest part, Brand, is just really taking that action step in whatever you're doing. It all goes back to almost practicing what you're preaching. And it's okay to fall short of glory, but you still got to stay on the track. Now, when I say fall short, that don't mean fall short and go back to doing that same drug that puts you in that spot. Because same thing with Brand, sorry, mama, but I've smoked weed. I didn't do any hardcore drugs, thank God. And I think that's the glory of God that I never got introduced to him or wanted, to try anything other than weed. But I remember a time where I wouldn't say dependent, but to an extent, weed was part of my life because I was so traumatized, and I thought for a second, oh, let me hit this weed right quick. Let me smoke right quick. It'll help me get away from the certain situation that I was facing. At the time, it was my uncle's death, the first death I had ever experienced in my life. And that grief and that pain, I didn't know how to navigate through it. Nobody taught me how to deal with death. Nobody taught me how to really properly grieve, and then all the stages of grief, which will be something I'm pretty sure me and Bram will definitely talk about, all those different stages of grief, the anger, the depression, the constant of why is this happening? Why is this going on? But like I said, it's really taking the time to understand, what is going to set you apart, what is going to help you get better, what is going to help you elevate in your life, and really going back to that idea. And I'm a stern believer that practice of what you preach and walking by faith. And so, you got to take those steps in life, and listening to people like me and Brand ourselves, both young Black men. And I applaud Brand for taking that action step to get this podcast started. He was right on it, spot on, brother. And I appreciate you for that, bro, because you were advocator of that idea of practicing what you preach. You said we were going to do it. We talked about it, and then you took that action step of getting things started. And now we got the ball rolling. So now we can educate all those people, all those Black men specifically out there that need that help, that might just need to listen to this podcast and hear just one or two things that might be like, yo, I need to listen to these brothers. They know, they definitely sharing knowledge that I can gain, that I can grow. Because me and you both still avid learners in our community, still learning, still being able to take criticism, still learning from some of the mistakes that we made in our childhood, seeing how that, impacted and growing from it, still growing from different situations, but always having that open mindset. Okay, I tried this, it didn't work, but what's the different ways that I can go about it? Or maybe there's a different route totally that I can go down. So I think this podcast is gonna be great, man. And like I said, brother, I appreciate you for taking that action step, man.
Got you, brother. And so one of the things, that's how the listeners can really apply roots to rise, and it's really identifying your roots, identifying your values, your purpose, your connections, looking at what you got taught and whatever. I feel like with me, just the game that I've been soaking in over the past couple of years, especially with family, is having a family value, principle, and code to stand on. I feel like you don't establish that inside the house. When you go outside, you're going to fold. And nah, man, you got to have a backbone nowadays. Because if not, you will be literally all over the place. And so just really sitting with yourself and really writing it down on your journal. That's one thing I did. Writing it down in a journal, figure out what steps I need to do, what my values are, what I'm going to live by, what I'm going to stand on. And once you do that, just find different podcasts, like Darius said earlier, YouTube channels, mentorship, communities. And if they're not around you right now, if you can't find it, like I said earlier, put it out there to the universe and it will come to you. You just got to be open. And it might be this podcast. If it is podcast, it's great. Because I definitely got the resources. I know me and Darius got the resources for you. And once you do that, you identify that, set up a goal, a strategy. Set up a strategy to change your mindset, because it's not gonna happen overnight. It's gonna take time. It really is. And my spiritual journey there started probably around 2019. So I think I was 20. And that was me just asking questions about life in general. Why I have to go to school for 4 years? I'm a college dropout. I'm proud to say I went to school, wasn't for me. Now I got paid Sally Mae back her money. She's not playing by her money. So I got to pay her back. But like I needed that experience to figure out what I wanted to do in my life, because I feel like, especially as you 18, you making a major life choice as soon as you get out of high school. And where our frontal lobe, wherever it's called, it's not fully developed. Our brain's not fully developed until we 25. So though that experience really got me to the point where I'm at right now. And I had my journal. Pull this out. I had this journal since 2020 right here. This journal right here. And I'm just getting ready to wrap it up right here. But I went back a couple months ago, Darius, and I went back from the beginning of it, and I was reading, because I used to write my affirmation, what I wanted for myself in the future. And one of the things is getting an IT job, which I had an IT job now, which I don't work at right now. Me, why is still making 100,000? You know what I'm saying? Even though I didn't hit 100,000 yet, I've been writing it down. I remember I did it for like the first year, when I got my first car. I did it for my car, me saving money, and something else. And I hit 3 of my 5 goals that I had written down, that I wrote down every day for the first 3 months. I fell off the wagon, but I know this right here is a powerful tool. Journal right here. This is why it's so important. Write down your thought. Write down how you feel. And that's something that I feel like it helped me. That I'm still working on communication. That's one thing I'm always gonna work on, my communication. It's expressing my feelings or how I feel. Because sometimes people can't express how they feel, bro, because they don't even know how to describe it in words. So that's where we gonna make sure we build all these resources we're gonna give to y'all, so y'all can have, so y'all can know what y'all need to do. And so one of the prompts, if y'all got your journal, what are your roots? Ask yourself, what are my roots? What does rising look like for me? Ask yourself that and journal that. And then next episode, we're going to have some more stuff, but like really reflect on that. What it look like for you. And the community building. We're building a community here. So this is all about just building a community so we can all grow and heal together, because that way it's going to really take for us to get to the next level. Wherever that level look like for you, we just want to make sure we can pour into. Like, this is the main thing this podcast is, for you to get that something poured into. And we constantly got to remind ourselves, I know Derek can relate to, make sure we get poured back into ourselves. You know, wherever that look like for you, if you're a person that help, that think about themselves last, me, you got to pour into yourself first, because you, like I said earlier, you hurting people around you, especially with me, with my girl, that's somebody I want to build a relationship that works to marriage. I got to make sure that I pour into myself and pour into our relationship, what we got going on, so I can be the best man for everybody that's around me first of all. So that's really understanding. And this is what this podcast is. If you need somebody to pour into, this is what this podcast is right here, to get back poured into. And it's really building that community. So we're gonna post an Instagram link in the video, all that, so you can follow us. But like, this episode, just like this building, man. This is the foundation. And we had a conversation about the podcast, and we saw, we was, all I gotta say, I'm like, nah, we're not gonna do this with this podcast, because I had plenty of time with my other boys that we talk about something we didn't do, but like something my gut was telling me, and I trusted my gut. I'm like, let's do it, because I seen the vision that what we trying to build, and I feel like this can be something bigger than me and you, and the person that's listening.
Absolutely. And it'll even engage. Like I said, me and you are still avid learners, so we're open. We're here to listen to any ideas, any input, any feedback that y'all are able to give us. within this podcast. And I just want to touch back on what Brand was saying about journaling. Um, See me, even though I'm a history major, I'm writing essays, doing all this different stuff, and jotting down. But I think the way that I figured out that I've learned the most is visualizing. I'm a visual learner. I like to see hands on what I'm doing. And so a lot of my spiritual journey and a lot of the stuff that Brandon was saying before of him jotting down and achieving some of those goals, instead of jotting it down, for me, it was manifesting. I had already, believe it or not, some of the trips that I've been on, I had already been there because I had manifested what it was going to look like for me, how I was going to take the time out to get there. I knew that I was going to be a teacher coming out of high school, like I said, and the fact that I was still able to carry on the avid knowledge of being a history major. As many of you may know, or if you don't know, I was a history major in college. I wanted to get back and understand the roots of history, not just United States, but my own culture, because it wasn't taught in high school or middle school. And even now as a teacher, I'm gonna be careful what I say here. A lot of that history isn't highlighted. As a history teacher myself, I've taught sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. So it's very important, and I'm always going to push this message to know your history yourself. Because if you don't know your personal history, it's going to be a hard time for you to navigate through life. So take the time out to, one, understand your personal history, two, understand how you learn and how you're able to gain and apply information, because everybody's different. Like Brandon said, he's more so the person that's going to jot down his goals and then go back and be able to check that off. More so with me, I'm more so a visualizer. So if I've already manifested, okay, I'm going to go to Colombia in this next year, which I already have. I had already seen myself making that trip once it was offered and proposed to me. I had already took those action steps to make sure that I was going to get there. But jotting it down is going to be the most important. I'm not going to say that I didn't jot down anything, because I did. I had to. And so even though when I fell short, I was still achieving some of those goals. And just to go back onto that, um, you know, like Brand says, what does roots to rise mean to you? And what are you doing now to set yourself up in your next lifetime, or your next situation, or your next steps? What are your action steps that you're taking now to help you succeed in life? And like me and Brand have been both saying, we had to take certain steps and go out. And everybody says this. I've listened to many different videos on this. You gotta find people outside of your friend group that are smarter than you, that have a little more money than you. Everybody's gonna teach you a life lesson, whether you like it or not. They're gonna teach you a life lesson, whether that friendship works out. You gotta let people show you who they are. It may be hard, they may show you some bad lessons, but at the end of the day, you're able to take that knowledge and apply it to your life and learn from those lessons moving forward. So, like Brand has said, this podcast is really out here, one, to share our personal experiences, also to share knowledge. And we really just want everybody to grow and to rise to their occasion, because we're in such a troubling time. And I'm gonna just give y'all a little rundown of my personal history. I'm a history teacher here in Norfolk at a Title I school, so I've seen a lot of kids. Unfortunately, I had the experience of burying one last year, which took a lot out of myself. Football player, um, taught him seventh grade, and I could see the change in the transition because of the route and the life decisions. And I felt like, what could I have done, or what guidance could I have more given him? And I kind of reflected and had to pray deeply on it. And like I said, God has a different way of showing people different stuff and handling different situations. But I know when God calls you home, he's calling you home. And there's nothing that you can do to stop that from happening. God's got a calling, and he's got a time period for everyone. And that's why me and Brand took the time out to start this podcast, because the time is now for us. We don't know when our end line is, but we know when our timeline is going to start. And it started today by starting this podcast, by sharing this information with you all.
So we're just gonna close it out. Definitely, we want to encourage everybody to
share their Roots to Rise story on the social media, hashtagging Roots to Rise. And we're going to be reposting that. And then submit some questions, some topics for future episodes. We definitely going to check that out. And the Instagram that we got set up is Roots _2_rise_podcast. We're going to change and make it a little simpler, but for right now, we're going to have the link in the bio. We're going to make sure we have in the bio for the podcast episode for y'all. But I really thank y'all for tuning in to this episode and building with us. And definitely this next episode, we're going to keep on building, keep on putting water onto the roots so it can grow, so you can rise. And that's the main thing I feel like this podcast is going to do. I'm just really excited to do it with my brothers, both of my brothers. Chop not here right now, but especially with my brother Darius, man. Like, I'm just really proud of you, bro. And I'm just love seeing my man coaching volleyball, track, basketball, football. I'm like, dang, what's next? Field hockey? I'm like, my boy Darius really doing it, bro. Really doing it, brother. Proud of you,
love.
bro.
Hey, I appreciate it, brother, and I'm proud of you as well. Like I said, bro, we know where we came from. You know, we know those hard times, and we knew all that knowledge that we gained over the years that we can go back and experience. So it's the both of us, man. I give you your flowers, and you know I'm gonna continue to do that, bro. Everything
Appreciate
that you're doing in the community, everything that you're doing for your family, that's rising. You rising, brother. And so let's
Mm-hmm.
continue to keep this podcast going just to kind of feed off of what Brand was saying. Please leave us comments, leave us feedback. I had a podcast. I'm gonna actually drop that under because I want y'all to transition to this Roots to Rise because this is it. This is it. So everybody that was following me, Let's Talk Life. Y'all coming over to Roots to Rise because we here. We here. And I'm with my great brother Brand, and of course Chop will definitely be tuning in with us. And in the near future, we're gonna definitely add some more guests to this. And
Yes.
we would love for anybody that wants to share their experiences, and share how this podcast moving forward has helped them navigate through life. All the positive feedback is there, and of course, if you ever just need somebody to talk to or just somebody to navigate through, me and Brand are both here to share any experiences, talk about any certain situations. Of course, we're going to take the time if we don't got too much knowledge on it to find out that history and find out some background knowledge before we speak on it. Because I know myself personally, I'm not going to speak on anything that I have been through or don't have too much knowledge on, but I definitely will take the time out to go and learn or go and find more information about it.
And that's it for episode 1. It's in the books, man. Yes, sir. We did it.
Yep.
And this see y'all in the next episode, man. Stay blessed, stay highly motivated, and man, yeah, that's all I gotta say there, man. That's all I gotta say.
Guys, remember, be blessed, everyone.
Peace.